Ladies and gentlemen, settle in for a journey into the darkest corners of human nature. This is a story of terror, cunning, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Tonight, we delve into Echoes of Darkness, a chilling tale of a serial killer who haunted the streets of San Francisco in the late 1970s. It began in the bustling city of San Francisco, known for its picturesque landscapes and vibrant culture. The year was 1977, and the city was alive with the spirit of the era. However, beneath the surface of this lively city, a sinister presence lurked. On a foggy November night, the first victim was discovered. Alice Monroe, a 24-year-old nurse, was found brutally murdered in her small apartment in the Tenderloin district. Her body was discovered by her roommate, Maria, who returned home to find a scene of horror. Alice had been strangled, and her body showed signs of a violent struggle. Detective James Harper, a seasoned investigator with the San Francisco Police Department, was assigned to the case. Harper was known for his keen intuition and his methodical approach to solving crimes. As he stood in Alice's apartment, taking in the gruesome scene, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Alice's neighbors were interviewed, but no one had seen or heard anything unusual that night. The only clue left behind was a cryptic note found near Alice's body. It read, "The game has begun." Maria, the roommate, was inconsolable. "Alice was like a sister to me," she sobbed. "We moved here together to start fresh. Who could do this to her?" Harper spent hours examining the crime scene, looking for any clues that might have been missed. The apartment was small, filled with the usual signs of a shared living space: 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, a living room with mismatched furniture. But it was the personal touches that stood out to Harper. Alice's room was filled with nursing textbooks, photos of her family, and little knickknacks that spoke to her gentle nature. He found himself drawn to a framed photograph on Alice's bedside table. It was a picture of Alice with a young man, both smiling brightly at the camera. "Who's this?" he asked Maria. "That's Tom, her boyfriend," Maria replied. "They broke up a few months ago, but they were still friends." A month later, the city was rocked by another murder. This time, the victim was Rebecca Allen, a 32-year-old schoolteacher. Her body was found in her car, parked in a secluded area near Golden Gate Park. Like Alice, Rebecca had been strangled, and a note was left behind. This one read, "The game continues." Detective Harper felt a chill run down his spine. The similarities between the 2 murders were undeniable, and he knew he was dealing with a serial killer. Harper assembled a task force to investigate the murders, and the media quickly dubbed the unknown assailant the Game Master. The pressure was mounting, and Harper's team worked tirelessly to find any connection between the victims. They discovered that both Alice and Rebecca had attended the same gym, but beyond that, there seemed to be no direct link. Harper knew that the killer was meticulous, leaving behind no physical evidence, only taunting notes. Rebecca's colleagues at the school were devastated. "She was such a dedicated teacher," said Principal Harris. "The kids loved her. We can't understand why anyone would do this." Harper visited Rebecca's apartment, hoping to find something that would shed light on her life. Her home was neat and orderly, reflecting her meticulous nature. Photos of her students and her travels adorned the walls. As Harper sifted through her personal belongings, he found a diary. Rebecca had written about feeling watched in the weeks leading up to her death. "I can't shake the feeling that someone's following me," she wrote. "I see the same car parked outside my house every night." As Christmas approached, fear gripped the city. On December 20th, a 3rd victim was found. David Harper, a 28-year-old journalist, was discovered in his apartment in the Mission District. His death was even more brutal than the previous ones, with clear signs of torture before he was strangled. A note was left behind reading, "The game is in full swing." The connection between David and the previous victims was even more tenuous. Harper and his team were at a loss, struggling to understand the killer's motives. They interviewed David's colleagues and friends, but again, no clear link emerged. David's editor, Laura King, was particularly distraught. David was working on a big story, she said. He was investigating corruption in the city. I can't help but wonder if it's related. Harper decided to take a different approach. He called in a criminal profiler, Dr. Linda Collins, to help create a psychological profile of the killer. Dr. Collins was known for her ability to get inside the minds of criminals, and she quickly identified a pattern in the notes left behind. The game master, she explained, sees these murders as a twisted form of entertainment. Each victim is a move in a larger game, and the notes are his way of taunting the police, letting them know that he's in control. Dr. Collins spent hours analyzing the notes, looking for any clues that might reveal the killer's identity. She noticed that the handwriting was deliberate and precise, suggesting someone with a meticulous and organized personality. This isn't someone who kills on impulse, she said. He plans everything down to the last detail. With the profile in hand, Harper's team began to focus on individuals who might fit the psychological profile of the game master. They combed through records of people with a history of mental illness, particularly those with narcissistic or sadistic tendencies. In January 1978, a break in the case came from an unexpected source. A woman named Carol Stevens came forward, claiming that her ex-boyfriend, Richard Lewis, had exhibited increasingly disturbing behavior. Carol described Richard as intelligent and charming, but also manipulative and controlling. She mentioned that Richard had a fascination with puzzles and games, often referring to life as a game to be won. Harper decided to bring Richard in for questioning. Richard was a 35-year-old software engineer with no criminal record. He was calm and collected during the interview, denying any involvement in the murders. However, Harper noticed something that piqued his interest: a collection of vintage board games neatly arranged in Richard's living room. "Do you often play games?" Harper asked. Richard smiled. "I enjoy a good challenge, keeps the mind sharp." Despite Richard's calm demeanor, Harper's instincts told him that they were onto something. The team decided to put Richard under surveillance, hoping to catch him in the act or find incriminating evidence. Weeks passed with no significant leads, and the pressure was mounting. Then, in early February, Harper received an anonymous tip. The caller claimed to have seen Richard near the scene of David Harper's murder on the night it occurred. The tipster provided detailed information that only someone close to the investigation would know. Harper suspected the caller was either the killer himself or someone with inside knowledge. Harper decided to set a trap. He crafted a plan to leak false information about a potential fourth victim through the media, hoping to lure the game master into making a move. The supposed victim was a young woman who matched the profile of the previous victims and was said to be under police protection. The plan worked. On a rainy night in March, Harper and his team set up a sting operation in the supposed victim's apartment. They waited in the shadows, tense and ready for anything. Hours passed, and just when they were beginning to lose hope, they heard footsteps approaching the apartment. Richard Lewis appeared, dressed in dark clothing, his face hidden under a hood. He approached the apartment door, a lockpick set in hand. The police sprang into action, surrounding him and taking him into custody. Under intense interrogation, Richard's calm facade began to crack. Faced with the overwhelming evidence against him, including surveillance footage and the anonymous tip linking him to the crime scenes, Richard finally confessed. He revealed that he had been planning his game for years, meticulously selecting his victims and taunting the police with his notes. He saw himself as a mastermind, playing a deadly game of cat and mouse with the authorities. Each murder was a move, each note a taunt, and he relished the attention and fear he had generated. However, Just when Harper thought the case was closed, a shocking revelation came to light. Another body was found, this time a young man named Thomas Green, murdered in the same brutal fashion. A note was left behind, reading, "The game never ends." Harper's heart sank. Richard Lewis was in custody, but the murders continued. It became clear that Richard was not the only one involved. There was another player in this deadly game. Harper and his team had to start from scratch. They re-examined all the evidence, looking for any connections they might have missed. They focused on Richard's background, trying to identify anyone who might have been influenced by him or shared his twisted fascination with games. Dr. Collins delved deeper into Richard's psyche, looking for clues that might point to an accomplice. Richard craved control and admiration, she said. It's possible he found a kindred spirit, someone who shared his obsession and was willing to continue his game. The team began investigating Richard's acquaintances, particularly those who shared his interests. They discovered that Richard had been a member of an exclusive club for puzzle enthusiasts, a group known for its secrecy and elite membership. Harper decided to infiltrate the club, hoping to find the accomplice. Harper posed as a new member, attending the club's meetings and observing its members. The club was a haven for intellectuals and puzzle aficionados, each member priding themselves on their ability to solve complex challenges. Harper noticed one member in particular who stood out, Martin Blake, a quiet and unassuming man with a sharp intellect and a dark sense of humor. Martin and Richard had been close friends, often collaborating on intricate puzzles and games. Harper's gut told him that Martin was the missing piece of the puzzle. He decided to confront Martin, hoping to catch him off guard. Harper invited Martin for a drink under the pretense of discussing their shared interests. As they sat in a dimly lit bar, Harper steered the conversation towards the recent murders and the media frenzy surrounding the Game Master. Martin's demeanor changed. He became animated, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "It's fascinating, isn't it?" he said. "The way the killer manipulates the police, the way he stays one step ahead, it's like a perfectly played game." Harper leaned in, his voice low. "You seem to know a lot about it." Martin smirked. "I've always appreciated a good strategy." Harper knew he had to act fast. He confronted Martin with the evidence, including the notes and the connection to Richard. Martin's face turned pale, and he realized he had been caught. In a tense and dramatic moment, Martin confessed. He admitted to continuing Richard's game, driven by his own desire for control and his twisted sense of competition. He revealed that he had planted the anonymous tip to mislead the police and take the game to the next level. Martin Blake was arrested and charged with the murders of Thomas Green and the conspiracy to commit the other murders. The trial was another media sensation, with the public captivated by the dark and twisted minds of Richard Lewis and Martin Blake. Detective James Harper, though relieved that the accomplice was behind bars, couldn't shake the lingering sense of unease. He knew that there were others like Richard and Martin out there, hiding in the shadows, waiting to make their next move. But for now, the city of San Francisco could breathe a little easier. Years later, Harper retired from the force, but the case of the Game Master remained with him. He often reflected on the darkness that can reside within the human soul and the relentless pursuit of justice that defined his career. And so, the story of the Game Master serves as a haunting reminder that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places. Through the persistence and bravery of Detective Harper and his team, justice was served, but the echoes of darkness continue to resonate. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Echoes of Darkness. As you lay down to rest tonight, remember to cherish the light, for the shadows are never far away. Sleep well, and may your dreams be filled with peace.